Good morning. So I was reading yesterday about one of the Healy Rays talking about the loosening of the planning laws to allow for these log cabins or modular homes to be built in people's back gardens, right? And he's saying that it's a game changer. And he referenced game changer in terms of allowing for Irish people to have a home, right? Or to not be homeless, right? Or to not spend the rest of their lives waiting for their parents to die so they could take that house, or so they can be gifted that house and then they have a home, right? So there's a few things on that, right? On the surface, when you frame it that way, so you want Irish people to be home, don't you? Yeah. So us government loosening planning laws will allow for Irish people to have homes. Therefore, you should support that, right? Not necessarily, right? Because the proof is in the pudding of what this actually is going to look like. Okay, so yes, you will have Irish people that will decide, you know what, my parents have a bit of land, they'd be happy to see me build and have somewhere where I can live, at least for the time being, right? But what you're going to have, obviously and predictably, and there's a potential for extreme sickness in this, right? And there's potential for an absolute schism to be driven through Irish people even further, right? Because on top of just usual regular people wanting to build and just having somewhere of their own, right? Just, this is mine, this is where I live, and this is my space, right? You're going to also have opportunists. You will have people who have a big garden and will decide that I'll cash in on this, I'll get a loan of 50, 60 grand, I'll build a little log cabin out the back, and I will charge people 1,000, 1,200, 1,500, 2,000 a month for it. My debt's covered in a matter of a couple of years, right? And I make money, right? But these people still don't really own their home, like, you know, they're still just renting. And in addition to that, because what you're going to see there is you're going to see, instead of government and people that have the money to invest in these sorts of things, right, becoming vultures on the Irish people, that's already in play. What you're going to see now is people who are, we'll say, middle class, right, that are lower down the totem pole but higher than people that are struggling enough to not have a place of their own, right? They're going to cash in. So what you're going to see is Irish people start to act like parasites and vultures on their own people even more, right? And I think it's sick. But this is where we are, okay? And now, the main point on this, and I believe that this is probably the motivation behind this, who have been cashing in? Which companies have been cashing in on big government contracts and big government money? Your money as well, by the way. Not as well, but your money. People that are building modular homes, right? So we've seen that once the government made noises that they were going to start using modular homes a year or two ago, the prices just doubled nearly overnight, right? So that's what you're going to see here. So you're going to end up in the exact same situation, right? You will have people decide to cash in, get a loan or whatever, or fund it themselves, build a modular home, build a log cabin, and start charging rent, right? You're going to have demand for these log cabins increase, which means log cabins are just going to increase their prices, which means we're back to square one, right? We're back to square one. But these companies that have been selling modular homes, selling log cabins to the government to house these IPAS people and house these asylum seekers, right? How much information do they know, right? To put themselves in a position to sign any sort of contract with governments or to engage in any sort of business with the government. They know certain things. They know certain regulations and laws have been sidestepped, right? They know the ins and outs of it. They have also, I would guarantee you, been given guarantees that they would never be held accountable for any of the laws that they would have trespassed by building these things when there wasn't legitimate paperwork or legitimate signing off on these things, right? So I think that now you now have a new lobby, right, in politics, and it is these log cabin modular home builders, because they have inside information. They've been working hand in glove with the government over the last few years. They've been trespassing and overstepping the laws that these governments have put out, right? They have been involved in discriminating against Irish people because they have been using specific laws designed to cater to certain people, which eliminate Irish people, up until now maybe, from building these homes for the same purposes, right? The poor fella in Cashel who's constantly in court over having a log cabin built on his own land. There's your example, right? So I think that these companies, or whoever the investors are in these modular home and log cabin companies, I think that they're starting to throw their weight around a little bit, and that's why the government are releasing or loosening the laws around that, because they want more money. They want to start cashing in now, and they have secrets, no doubt about it. They have inside information on how the government has been acting in regards to this, and I think they're starting to throw their weight around a little bit now, and that's why this government is loosening the laws. It's not to put Irish people in sheds, right? Or sorry, it is to put Irish people in sheds. It's certainly not to give them a home, a long-term home, right? I don't think it's anything to do with alleviating the suffering of Irish people. I think it's to do with the new lobby of these log cabin builders or stockbrokers or shareholders even, sorry, throwing their weight around, right?